TV. Oh yeah. Now we pledge with love and loyalty to we sweet, sweet mama Salone. Now we all come together as one. For tomorrow, now we gon' make Salone.
Elections. We go to it peacefully because at the end of the day, after the elections, our neighbors, our families, the politicians, all of us will continue to live as citizens of Sierra Leone, not as APC or SLP.
And the motto of ECSL for this particular election is SAFU.
Yeah.
Vote SAFU, gonna SAFU. So we have to remind ourselves of that. Gonna also you don't vote done. There's no need to hang around and create chaos.
Yeah.
You want to talk about your political parties, you can do it in the comfort of your home.
Yeah.
But you get to, because of the difference of views, I get to tell you what I want. You get to tell me what you want me to hear.
Yeah.
That's where the eruption starts. And yesterday, you and I were talking about the Gumadam as well.
Yeah.
That's been petitioned offense.
Yeah.
That's also a huge progress.
Yeah. It's a progress. It's development. It shows how institutions should take their responsibilities as well in protecting the environment. But good morning to all our viewers and listeners from across the globe. This is our welcome you to your number one breakfast show, Wake Up Sierra Leone, on AYV television, on channel 33, we're on Radio FM 101.7, on DSTV on the 6th day of the month, 19 days to the June 24th multi-tier elections. My name is Amadou Lamganaba. Good morning and welcome.
And I am Zulaya Hamid. Good morning. You can be part of this 2 hours conversation through our AYV News Facebook page and share your thoughts and comments. Stay with us as we join David Remy Wilson for the news summary. Good morning, David.
Yes, good morning to Zulaya. Good morning to Amadou. Well, in our top stories this morning, President Julius Maada Bio has said that the fight against corruption is a fight that Sierra Leoneans must fight and win. The president was speaking during the official opening of the Anti-Corruption Commission Integrity House, which is located at Tower Hill in Freetown. After some 20 years on rent, the commission has moved to its own permanent funded building by the government of Sierra Leone.
First, in 2019, I signed into law an amendment of the Anti-Corruption Act that significantly strengthened the hands of the Anti-Corruption Commission. That was my very first act. That legislative change, among other things, established the Special Anti-Corruption Division of the High Court of Sierra Leone, with dedicated judges to expeditiously try corruption cases. Ladies and gentlemen, had a very positive impact on our fight against corruption. We have registered unprecedented trial and conviction tenfold dedicated courts of Sierra Leone and persons convicted will face the full force of the law. Another aspect of this success is the recovery of over 45 billion from individuals who pay for monies.
Story, June 5th every year is commemorated as World Environment Day, a day set aside to raise awareness on issues affecting the environment and climate change. In Sierra Leone, human activities like cutting down of trees in Freetown Peninsula to build houses is a serious challenge to water catchment areas and supply of pipe-borne water to residents of the city, according to the acting director of corporate services at the Guma Valley Water Company.
Celebrated as World Environment Day. The day is set aside by the United
very good amount, sufficient amount of water supply because most of our catchments are in forested areas. If the forests are depleted by humans to burning of the amount of water to the Kuma Lake, and it also the amount that also affects the amount of water supply we have to give out to the people of Freetown for the next year.
Human activities, among other things, are the most genetic factors threatening
The Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, SLAJ, yesterday have officially launched the media manifesto for an empowered and inclusive media in Sierra Leone. The manifesto is based on pillars like the investments and development. The manifesto on what it wants that is expected to be part of the plans of programs of any of the political parties that will win the forthcoming elections.
In this media manifesto ignites a new era of responsible journalism as we prepare for the upcoming. At this point, it is my singular honor and privilege to launch this live media.
Media is small, so we want money. We want grants. We want investment that will take this media so that we become. We want equipment. We want accessories. And most importantly, we want printing presses and transmitters for community radio stations. Last but not least, we want expanded space for capacity building.
We want to see these things reflect the viability and prosperity of the media, the quality outputs of the media, and this media manifesto. The critical aspects of this manifesto: freedom, independence, empowerment, and inclusivity.
Having our top stories this morning, back to Amadou and Zulatu in our main studio.
Many thanks, David Remy Wilson, for the top stories in the news. In the show this morning, the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, SLAJ, has launched its 2023 Media Manifesto titled Manifesto for an Empowered and Inclusive Media. We'll be discussing the importance of the manifesto and how it will support the media in the country.
And we shall also be discussing the build-up ahead of the UN Security Council seat elections today and updates on Leone SAR's preparation ahead of their encounter against Nigeria.
The press is not just important to democracy, it is democracy. Liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost. Whoever will overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech. And it comes from Thomas Jefferson, an American statesman, diplomat, lawyer, and a philosopher. Let's take a quick message from our sponsor, Hotel Commercial Bank. We'll be coming back, so keep watching.
Every day, the world wakes up to you. Millions of expenses, utility bills, trade, and commerce. If we all have wishes, then what is your financial transaction wish?
I'd like to have a choice. I'd like convenience.
I'd like to pay for goods and services on the go.
I'd like to pay utility bills on the go. Out of credit and data, buy some mobile top-up, still on my phone. Oops, light out. I'll buy some ads. Still on my phone.
I like to make payment from my account to another account through my mobile phone.
As a CEO for company, I would like my staff to receive their salaries through bulk e-payment without the risk of transporting cash.
As money when you're close to home and when you're away from home for unexpected expenses and money for those times when cash fails.
If you can dream it, you can become it. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it.
Rokel Commercial Bank SIM Copper is all you need.
We are now days away from Sierra Leone's dates with destiny. The June 20 we recognize the mantle thrust upon us to be the voice of the nation fully.
We take our task to ensure fair coverage seriously. We intend to honor our pledge to you, to be your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced news. Totally, this is our commitment to you. We have witnessed non-stop hours of groundbreaking broadcast in an effort that saw AYV rolled out 8 studios across Sierra Leone, at Star Hill, Aberdeen, Makeni, Kenema, Bow, and London, with almost 3 kilometers of coaxial cable laid, connecting 4 ground teams that consume almost 100 liters of coffee from Chef Taina. The most important number is 2. Out of dozens of aspirants, only 2 men have emerged from the conventions in February as flag bearers of the APC and SLPP. Retired Brigadier Julius Madabio and Dr. Samuel Matthew Wilson Camara.
So far, we have witnessed a lot of intrigues. Maybe this is the beginning. Defections and realignments have been plenty. We don't know if there's more to come.
The only thing you can guarantee right now is that your home of credible, factual, and balanced news and analysis, AYV Media Empire, will bring you every twist and turn of this amazing race in full color and in high definition.
We shall have a comprehensive look at the developments around the election as we count down to Sierra Leone's date with destiny. Women clamored and got a law that provides 30% minimum quota in governance. Will that be achieved this June?
Well, one thing is clear. The nation has begun its conversation that will culminate a date with its destiny on the 24th of June. How much will change by then? And what shifts within the political landscape are we going to see?
Find out more on the nation's biggest and most trusted news source, AYV, on Channel 33, on DSTV Channel 399, on Radio 101.7 FM, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course on TikTok.
Yes, indeed. Only AYV. Because AYV, Nine Salone Sabi.
Welcome back. This is Wake. Comments and questions to AYV News we're talking about this morning.
We'll definitely find time to read out some of those messages. In our first segment this morning, the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, SLAJ, yesterday launched its 2023 Media Manifesto, which is titled A Manifesto for an Empowered and Inclusive Media in Sierra Leone. The manifesto, according to SLAJ, is to consolidate the significant gains the media has made in the last 5 years and represent collective vision and aspiration as journalists for the media and what they want in the next years. So this morning to discuss the manifesto, we have in the studio with us Ahmed Said Nasrallah. He's the president of the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists. Good morning, Ahmed, and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning.
The media and its own manifesto. Yeah. We've been hearing of political parties and manifesto. What's informed this?
Well, this was informed by a collective resolve that we want to put our priorities forward, because the trend has been over the past elections. We know that every political party will have their manifesto, and in those manifestos they will have programs for education, for health, for energy, and also for the media. But most times they do not consult us as media people to understand what we actually need, put those together based on their own perspective about the media. And so we thought that it would be necessary for these elections for us to put to them what we want as media, what our needs and priorities, and so in this manifesto, so that it is theirs. And so we want the buying of the political parties, we want the buying of the international community, and we want the buying of our own members themselves. So that is why it's a media manifesto, because it's the contribution of everybody, every journalist in Sierra Leone practicing, and even those in the diaspora.
You're talking about contribution of everyone. How inclusive? How was this manifesto developed? The specific areas. How were they developed? How did it come out that this is what the journalists actually want?
Okay. Well, this manifesto before the political parties will have put together their own manifestos and start their campaign, but because we wanted to do wider consultations, because we already had a draft based on the National Media Viability and Investment Conference. There were key recommendations from that conference, and that is what informed the framework for this manifesto. And basically, that conference, for that conference, prior to the conference, we did a nationwide consultation on what are the priorities for the media, what are the challenges, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and what are the opportunities, and what do we want for the media in the future. And so those are the documents or the information that informed the conference. And so there were recommendations on 8 thematic areas. And those were the ones that are captured in this manifesto. And what we did, we had a consultant, Dr. Soa, one of our colleagues at the MRCG. And so with support from the EU through IDEA International, we did a survey, an online survey, which we shared in our WhatsApp groups, so that journalists will contribute their own perspectives on these 8 thematic areas. And so we collated that one, and we also did a draft of the regions. And so we sent the document to them, look at the draft, call the general meeting, call all the journalists, not necessarily SLAD members, even those who are freelancers, who are outside of the profession, call them and let them look at the document. You review it, put your comments, then send it back to us. And so they had 1 week to do that. They all call their meetings, and they make their input, and they send the document back. And so we had a national validation program now, where we call all the heads of the regions and all the heads of the affiliate bodies and all the heads of media stakeholders in the country, including government agencies that we're working with very closely, the Right to Access Information Commission, the Independent Media Commission, we are all there. And so we look at the document again and clean it up and then validate it. And so there are 8 thematic areas in this manifesto, which we think every issue that is affecting the media are captured in either one of these thematic areas.
As you mentioned, we're coming to talk about the 2 thematic areas. As you mentioned, this is coming after the political parties have already launched their manifestos and already discussing it. And in the 2 main political parties, the manifestos we've seen, there's nothing specific about the media. Is this deliberate to also, ask them to include this in their discussion, or the media is already late that they've launched their manifestos and they passed that point?
No, we are not late. There is always on their part, they want to succeed, and they want to intervene in areas so that they will score points and incorporate this. If they come to government, they will definitely make reference to this, because what we want, this is something that we should have done many years ago as a framework for the media, so that every intervention, whether international, whether from governments, whether from NGOs or CSOs or any other agency, this should be the framework that they should look at in terms of intervention. Because it covers everything about the media. It covers everything about our priorities, our needs, and our aspirations for the future. And so, like I told you, this was supposed to be on...
Okay, let's take a quick break. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be coming back to you shortly, so we'll continue the discussion. Let's take a quick break.
Every day, the world wakes up to you. Millions of people are getting ready for it. Trade and commerce. If we all have wishes, then...
I'd like to have a choice.
I'd like convenience.
I'd like to pay for goods and services on the go.
I'd like to pay utility bills on the go. Out of credit and data, buy some mobile top-up, still on my phone. Oops, light out. I'll buy some EDSA, still on my phone.
I'd like to make payment from my account to another account through my mobile phone.
As a CEO of a company, I would like my staff to receive their salaries through bulk e-payment without the risk of transport in cash.
Rokel Commercial Bank Simcopo does it all. Rokel Commercial Bank Simcopo. Think of it.
For unexpected expenses and money for those times when cash fails.
If you can dream it, you can become it. If you can imagine it, you can achieve it.
Rokel Commercial Bank Simcopo is all you need.
We are now days of the 24th general election. In this defining moment in the history of Syria, we trust upon us to be the voice of the nation fully.
We take our task to ensure fair coverage seriously. We intend to honor our pledge to you, to be your home of all things credible, factual, and all times balanced news. Totally, this is our commitment to you. We have witnessed non-stop hours of groundbreaking broadcast in an effort that saw AYV rolled out 8 studios across Sierra Leone, at Far Hill, Aberdeen, Makeni, Kenema, Bo, and London. Welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone on AYV television. Ahmed, we were talking about, I was asking about the relevance of the manifesto, the media manifesto.
Since and political parties.
Exactly.
Okay.
How?
Yeah, like I said, this was supposed to be a World Press Freedom Day program, which would have been far ahead before the politicians put together their manifesto. But like I told you, we had challenges of funding, and we have to do wider consultations. So that's why. But it is still a document, and they have opportunity to still make reference to it and develop policies around it that can also inform their own manifestos. Manifestos are just programs, are just aspirations. They are just intentions put on paper, so they are liable to review.
Is this a manifesto? The media saying this is what we want to do.
This is what we
or
want.
the media asking, whoever forms the government on what they should do for the media. I see the media telling their people
this is what we want.
Because manifestos usually speak to what people want to do.
This is what that is the title of the manifesto is what the media we want. And this is what we want you to do for the media. Not just the government, but also those who are doing interventions for media development. And also we also have responsibility as media people. So if you look at the document, you will see that there are responsibilities given to SLAG, given to media stakeholders like the statutory bodies, IMC, and so it is everybody's. So we see that to have a vibrant media, inclusive and empowered media, it is everybody's responsibility. Not just government, not just us, not just the private sector, international.
In our top stories this morning,
we have been joined by Thomas Dixon, who is a media analyst. Good morning, Thomas. Thank you for joining us. Now, let me take you right there to safety and security of journalists. We are approaching elections, and over the years, for the last 5 years, of the state of security, the judiciary's role in tackling all of these issues.
First of all, I think we must commend ourselves as journalists for doing this consultation and coming up with a document like this, meaning we are not going to be dictated to how the media we want will be who want to see. And this is a document that was produced due to wide consultation, several validations, and so on and so forth. And this document is speaking particularly to media development in Sierra Leone. And media development, for democracy to function properly, the media is the bulwark to the functional democracy. If you want to talk about human rights, the foundation of human rights is based on free expression, which is talking about the media. So for me, I think this document is useful. Unfortunately, as the president was saying, the two main political parties that have launched their manifestos, there is no line in their manifesto that talked about the media development. not seen anywhere. I looked at the governance area in the APC manifesto. I've not seen anything about media development. I've looked at the governance sector of the SLPP manifesto. I've not seen anything about media, and it's unfortunate. We are not yet there. Yes, we commend government for removing the 1965 Public Order Act. We commend government for giving some form of subvention to SLAD. Whether that is enough or is another issue. We commend government for several the investment forum and other. But I think there is more to be done. We have the section in the Cyber Crime Act that we want to be reviewed. Now, coming to your question about safety and security, I think in terms of government attack over the last 5 years, we've not received physical attack from government. I've not, except where you have isolated cases, but we've not received that much physical attack from government, owing to the fact that the Part 5 of 1965 Public Order Act is no longer in existence. And we are receiving so much of social media threat as journalists. And that is putting pressure on us in doing our work. You will see journalists are being abused. The station manager of 98.1, Asma James, was abused for merely doing her work, to the point that people will not only embarrass the journalists, they will embarrass the family members. And that is not allowing journalists to do their work properly. In terms, when it comes to security, I think SLAG has collaborated with the Salone police. They've had engagement, and we had few cases where I think the police themselves they didn't understand that there is no criminal libel law. So if somebody takes a journalist to the police station, as a police officer on his work, on the media work, you should advise him to go and use the civil route rather than the criminal route. So I think we've had situation where journalists have been arrested, few. They were arrested, and that is as a result of the police not understanding. So the police themselves need to understand that the criminal libel law is no longer in existence. And a potential security threat has to do with the Cyber Security Act, where in some sections of it are not favoring free speech. And in this media development, the media manifesto, we are calling for it to be reviewed. There are several good sections in the Cyber Crime Act talking about safety and security, stacking, and so on and so forth. But there is one particular section, I think. So in terms of safety and security, I think over the last 5 years, we'll move forward. But there are isolated cases.
You made mention of self-regulation. In other words,
yes.
I want to put it in those two words, self-regulation. As journalists, how far have we gone in terms of regulating ourselves in the media institutions we work for?
Self-regulation is now a criteria. Yeah, it's now a criterion in the IMC Act of 2021, and if they are registering you, you have to produce your editorial policy and yourself. So I think all media houses should have an independent editorial policy apart from the IMC regulatory policies. So we are moving steps in ensuring that we regulate ourselves. Issues like the basic issue like the ABC of journalism, accuracy, balance, credibility. We are moving steps towards that. If I have a story, my editorial policy is informing me that I should cross-check my story. I should fact-check my story. If I have a story, my editorial policy about children is telling me how to attack that particular story. If I have a story about rape and forward, and we reviewed the IMC Act, and now we have a code of ethics. We have the new IMC Code of Ethics, and the act itself is asking journalists, before we register you, you have to, among other things, you have to present your editorial policy. And the IMC, they go around yearly. They go around media houses to cross-check if you have these things. And if you don't have them, they will advise you to have those the things in the like self-regulation or editorial policy, so that your newspaper or your radio station or TV station will be registered.
You know, before Lamana comes in, okay, you want to say something? Yes, please.
Journalist or you, the media house, complying with the rules and regulations that govern the profession, and so you avoid coming in conflict with the law. That's basically what it is, and we have been doing that for a long time. It's only when you bring politics into the play that's when journalists begin to be ethical to the rules and regulations on the large part, the large code of ethics, on the IMC, the rules and regulations governing electronic and print media, and also the code of practice.
The platform for women, and it is perceived that women most times prefer to be presenters rather than reporters. But however, let's talk about the safety, the realities on the ground. In this manifesto, what caters for women who are particularly reporters?
Well, we talked about, Dixon mentioned about the issue of safety and security. We've had some improvement in the area of physical attacks and assaults by the police, and the CID inviting us to the CID on the weekend and on Friday and detain us over the weekend. But then there is another threat that has been there since the emergence of the digital space, online threats, and these are mainly coming from political supporters. And so once you put out a news story or a viewpoint that is critical or that is not favorable to one party, the supporters will come at you. And especially for you, the female journalists, you get more attack because they call you all kinds of names and stereotypes and those things. And so that's where the problem is, and that's where we need to do a lot of media education and a lot of protection and safety for how you deal with those things. If you're a journalist, a female journalist, social media on your platform, and begin to send you messages and begin to stalk you and those things. But those are things that are captured in the Cybersecurity Act. Basically, they are to protect us, or you as well, and us journalists from those people who try to threaten us. Well,
let's start on viability. This is something the media has been asking for a very long time. But the media itself, I was listening to Professor Karika a few days ago. He was in town and was talking about how the space is small, and they have a lot of, especially newspapers and radio stations, for a very small community, a very small market. In this manifesto, the media itself does not say what we are going to do. You're asking government. You're just asking government. What is the media itself doing?
We're not asking government only. We're not asking government only. We're asking everybody, including us. That was part of the recommendations of the viability conference, that we need to re-engineer ourselves, the media. That's our responsibility. How do we reposition ourselves to be able to attract that private sector investment that we have? Media pluralism is a prerequisite for press freedom and for democracy. But we don't know whether that is benefiting us as a small nation with a very small economy. We have over 500 media houses. How can an advertiser advertise with all of those media houses? If you look at the media landscape, 99 or 95 or 99% of the people who own the media are journalists themselves.
Yeah.
And they are mostly one-man businesses, even though they are registered as communists. So it's one man in charge. Even for our Woku, it's one-man business. If Kelvin has a problem or dies, God forbid, then the people will struggle. And so that's how the newspapers are.
So in this manifesto, the media itself doesn't say, we know this is a challenge. This is what we are going to do.
It's on media viability. There's a section there that says we need to re-engineer, and reposition ourselves. Yes, that is our responsibility.
When you talk about media viability and sustainability, vis-a-vis media pluralism, and you are coming up with what Professor Kaika said, that there are many media outlets there. I think that particular comment is violating the principles of media pluralism. And Marcus Sierra Leone is being rated. For instance, and in the IMC, the function of the IMC, or the principles upon setting up the IMC, one of the fundamental principles is to promote media pluralism.
But so I'm coming. me just clarify. His point is you can promote media pluralism, but you don't want the media itself to also struggle and not be sustainable.
I agree with you.
You know, they can collaborate. And,
I agree with you. That has to do with media people themselves.
That's our own part.
We have, I think, a media problem. Exactly. You look at the legal profession, you have many chambers. You look at the engineering profession, that's why we don't have big engineering company in this country. You have so many people after 2 years training, they want to have their own engineering company.
Exactly.
So it's a Sierra Leonean problem, our ability to come together than a media problem. The president talked about the individual journalists owning. It's a unique case. Our situation is a unique case. In other parts of the world, it is not journalists who own newspapers, who own media houses. It is business people, conglomerate that own these institutions. Our own case is different. The journalists are the owners. We are the proprietors. So even, in fact, because we are the proprietors, even the reporters cannot demand, for example, for salary increment, because we are colleagues. So in other parts of the world, the reporters are demanding because the owners are not colleagues. They are owners. So our own situation is different.
So we have this situation where, like we keep saying, a reporter who works in the media can work for some years and thinks, no, I can establish my own paper, get my own advertising and start having, but it's not sustainable.
I agree with you totally. So it's not sustainable.
What is things like this?
I agree with you. When we talk about media sustainability and viability, it is only a sustainable media that can be viable. And if you look at our case in Sierra Leone, currently for newspapers, it is difficult for you to get adverts except for Mercury and AfriCell that are dishing out adverts, however small, to almost all the media houses. But it is not forthcoming to get adverts. So we should sit aside as media practitioners. I think Prezo has said it. We should not wait for foreigners to come and invest in the media. There is huge, I think that's the essence of the media investment conference. There is huge possibility of business ground in the media space, and it needs investment. We should not sit by and allow others to come and invest in the media. If they do, they will dictate not only the media, they will dictate the political and economic space of this country. So we have those people who have money in Sierra Leone should now come and invest in the media. You can take, for example, Thomas Dixon, Lamran Abag, the good guys, and you set up a media outlet. And they will abandon their newspapers.
Yes, they will.
They will abandon because the cost of production, I'm an owner of a newspaper, I know the cost of production. No way we can sustain it with the current trend of decreasing revenue mobility in terms of advert. So I am encouraging Sierra Leoneans who have money to come and invest in the media. Serious investment in the media. Look for not just input, the output of the guys you are bringing on board. Look at what Ambassador Navo has done. This is benefit with regard to media development in Sierra Leone. And talking about media development, we should not only focus media sustainability on media themselves. We have to also look at government support, particularly for public interest media.
But the media. If the media is depending too much on government support, how could it be?
That is an argument globally.
How could it be?
In 2019, when the Prime Minister of Canada, decided to dish out about $500 million to media institutions struggling as a result of the COVID, that was the argument. But it is also the responsibility of the state to ensure that you have a viable media, a sustainable media. You have to sustain the media to be viable. Like in Sweden, they have the Swedish model of funding public interest media. We should also know that the media is a public good, just like the health sector, just like the education sector. So it is incumbent on not only government, even the private players, to support public interest media.
The media in Salone is already receiving support from the government. You're getting subvention, which has been questioned.
It's not the media, it's large.
It's large. It's large represent the media.
Represent the media, but yeah. Want to play. The role that we play is to provide and training opportunities for you, the media people, the journalists who are practicing, so that you become.
So that is not enough.
That is not enough. The government needs to intervene more, especially for community radio stations and even for the print media. You're not investing or putting money there to ensure that they praise you but you're putting it there because you need them to criticize you, to hold you to account.
Yes, it's a public good.
It's democracy we are talking about, and it's public interest media. And so you don't just give money to media houses that are supporting you. No, because they always support you. But you have a responsibility. That is your obligation, because we voted for you to ensure that you have a thriving and independent media.
So this whole argument,
in perspective, we provide a platform for people to come and discuss issues, and government will learn from those issues.
So this whole argument about government support is not only in Sierra Leone. You can read even in the United States, public media, they are being supported. In Canada, I've just given you in 2019, it created huge amounts of arguments among media scholars, among democracy pundits, that no, it is not the responsibility of proponents of media sustainability, is that media is public good. We are creating the space for people to be informed. Imagine we are going to some hard-to-reach areas, bring those news of children struggling to get water, clean drinking water, access to a clinic. So this is public good. And this is why government should support media, not for us to praise government. In fact, I have said it. I believe that praise singing is PR. It's a different sector of the media. And that's why you pay for it to the journal. You pay the media house if you want them to praise you. But what we should be doing is to critically, and that's what some of us have been doing, to critically look at government, what they are doing, how is it impacting the people, or how government is spending our money. That is why we go for research, we talk about, we take out documents, present them to public, analyze.
Indoors and the like. It was just yesterday the colleague of mine was talking about the issue of press attaches. Okay, let's say for instance, for a period of 2 years, I continuously get to cover a political party, and at the end of the day, whether it's good or bad, I get a press attaché, I work. At the end of the day, in the minds of others, it's as if I was doing this because I wanted that. So in that light, where do we draw the line?
Well, it has to do with the individual. Some of us have been spoken to about some of these jobs. It has to do with the individual. I think press attaché is also has to do with the other aspect of communication, which is public relation. In this case, it is government public relation overseas. That is what you are going to do in the foreign mission. You are going to work in the foreign mission. In other parts of the world, they have been in the government information service. But in our own situation, it is not this. Then, as press attaché. And if the media is not paying much, even me, I'm thinking now, am I going to continue to stay in the media? The media is not paying much. I'm seeing some of your colleagues. We have to be truthful. I'm seeing some of your colleagues. Some of them now they are big boys. Yes, you want to reach that, continue to be in this media and be critical, and at the end of the day we don't benefit anything, or are we going to follow our colleagues to be appointed as deputy ambassadors, press attachés, and the likes? Mark you, we have the capacity.
You can even be a minister.
Yes, we have the capacity.
Is that Dixon giving his own manifesto?
No, I'm not giving my own manifesto. I'm just saying, I'm just using my case to bring out the reality on the ground. It is the political economy of the media. So that is what is driving some of our colleagues. If we have a robust, well-paid media, journalists will not be eager to go to politics. Although in some cases where even you have robust, well-paid media like the United Kingdom. We've seen journalists becoming prime ministers working for.
He said, yeah, that no one should be afraid of. Journalists should not be afraid of getting into politics.
Yes,
he actually said what we're doing is part of politics.
Yeah, it is the right of the individual.
But I wanted to ask, in the manifesto also, you're asking for a policy, advertising policy. Can't the media develop its own and say this is how we want advertising to go? This is what we're presenting to government, who is the biggest advertiser, and another private institutions?
Yeah, it's going to be ours. It's going to be our own discussion. That's why.
But you're asking the Ministry of Information to.
Because the IMC is under the Ministry of Information. The IMC has that responsibility to develop that policy around advertising. It's part of their mandate as well. But we are going to. So anything they do, they have to consult the media because the advertising is for us. And so yes, that is part of the process. They cannot do a policy without nationwide or widespread consultation with us. Definitely.
I see what
you're saying. Advertising. I think we have an old advertisement law.
Like they do in Ghana.
Forcing them to be in other countries in Africa, they have it where you can they are forced to advertise every month, every week. And that will allow this the media, like not only the media, even people in the branding sector, marketing sector, the musicians, they will also try because you want to have banners,
comedians,
that will have popular people, and you pay them. So we need an advertisement act and then the advertisement policy. And yesterday, the head of ideas said something that is very important. That advertisements don't pay anymore, even in Europe. Advertisement is reducing. So that is why we are talking about all that support for public media. And we all know that the lifeblood of a media is advertisement. So if advertisement is reducing globally, with the media, that look, you said, I have not seen any line with regards media development in your manifesto. And the last time which is we have media entrepreneurs. We are not told that we should go for that money. We are not told.
Otherwise, we would have made a proposal.
We would have been better than some people who are claiming that they are doing business. Media itself is a business. There's a business globally. People are thinking that we have to ensure that we maintain the space of the media, or else we are all grumbling about somebody sitting in Holland causing chaos in our country.
That is the alternative. When
invest in media,
that is the responsibility. The media is struggling. The media is struggling everywhere. Everywhere it is struggling.
Is the media responsible, especially here? Is the media also responsible for its own struggle out with advertising every other day?
The established
you see them,
they
coming out and getting it. Is it about positioning yourself as well, making your media? You read our newspaper on a daily basis. You see a lot of adverts placement in the paper because they're running it as a business and positioning themselves.
They've been around for a long time. They've been around for a long time, and so the traditional people who advertise jobs and other things, when they want to choose newspapers among the 500, definitely they will choose the ones that have been there for a very long time because of the trust and the credibility and those sort of things, and the reach as well. So that's why they go for first. Yes. And so the other ones who are new and those sort of things, they just rely on Mercury and
we'll come back to
something we need to discuss.
We'll come back to continue this conversation quickly. It's 9 a.m. Let's take the news summary. We'll be coming back to look at the other part of the manifesto and also get views from viewers on Facebook. Keep watching. This is Wake Up Salone.
Well, in our top stories this morning, President Julius Maada Bio has said that the fight against corruption is a fight that Sierra Leoneans must fight and win. The president was speaking during the official opening of the Anti-Corruption Commission Integrity House, which is located at Tower Hill in Freetown, after some own permanent funded building by the government of Sierra Leone.
First, in 2019, I signed into law an amendment of the Anti-Corruption Act that significantly strengthened the hands of the Anti-Corruption Commission. That legislative change, among other things, established the Special Anti-Corruption Division of the High Court of Sierra Leone, with dedicated judges to expeditiously try corruption cases. Ladies and gentlemen, that has had a very positive impact on our fight against corruption. We have registered, have increased the likelihood and tried in the competent, dedicated courts of Sierra Leone, and persons convicted will face the full force of the law. Another aspect of this success is the recovery of over 45 billion leones from individuals who have paid for those monies from the state.
Story, June 5th every year, is commemorated as World Environment Day, a day set aside to raise awareness on issues affecting the environment and climate change. In Sierra Leone, human activities like cutting down of trees in Freetown Peninsula to build houses is a serious challenge.
June 5th every year is celebrated as World Environment Day. The day is set aside by the United
Very good amount, sufficient amount of water supply, because most of our catchments are in forested areas. I mean, so I mean, if the forest or to burning of charcoal for housing construction, that affects the amount of water Goma generates annually into the Goma Lake, and it also the amount that also affects the amount of water supply we have to.
Human activities, among other things, are the most generic factors threatening the safety of the environment.
And finally, the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists, SLAJ, yesterday have officially and inclusivity, media investments and development. This is the first time the media is developing a manifesto on what it wants that is expected to be part of the plans of programs of any of the political parties that will win the forthcoming elections.
This media manifesto ignites a new era of responsible journalism as we prepare
that will take this media so that we become more competitive and more digital. Number two, we want equipment, we want accessories, and most importantly, we want printing presses and transmitters for community radio stations. Last but not least, we want expanded space for
the viability, prosperity of the media, the quality of the media, and the welfare and conditions of service. Journalism. In essence, this is the goal of this media manifesto. The critical aspects
Having our top stories this morning, back to Amadou and Zulatu in our main studios.
Many Well, thanks very much, David Remy Wilson. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone. Welcome back. We're talking about the and now the wanted analyst in the studios with all. Zola, you want to ask about?
Yes.
I see the manifesto has area about women's empowerment.
Let's move away a little bit from
from the funding. That's
funding. Let's move a little bit. Now, let's go over to the access to information area, especially right to access information as a commission. Nazgala, over the years, do you think their work has been futile?
No, they've been struggling. They've been struggling. We've said it here many, many times during programs here, and also told the Right to Access Commission, they are understaffed, they are underfunded, and the regulations were only passed recently. The act we are only passed this year, a couple of months ago, and so now they are trying to go back to the drawing board and see how they can effect all of those, implement all of those provisions in the act. Yes, they have been struggling, but they've done some good things. They've been training journalists on how to use the also know citizens also know that they have the right to ask information, to access public information from them. Yes, but they need to do more. And with these regulations now, they have the powers, but they need the resources. Government need to. That is why we always, when we do our advocacy programs, we don't forget them. Even though they are government institutions, we know it is very integral to the work that we do. Be proactive in disclosing information, and we need to have access to them to get information that we want to support the stories that we do. So I think going forward, we'll be able to do some more improvements.
Dixon, do you believe that will actually work? Right to access information in all areas, especially particular information that people get to say, this is beyond your reach.
Well, even in the access to right to information, there are exemptions, like some exemption on
security,
defense,
national security,
personal data, exactly. And so there are exemptions with getting those information. But lay premium on is proactive disclosure, meaning government institutions should have information officers, should have functional websites, disclosing information. I think this whole thing about people manufacturing documents to present government bad will no longer hold if we are proactive. If you go to the one ministry that I will give credence is the Ministry of Finance. Perhaps it is because they have benchmarks to fulfill. Yeah. If you go to the ministry, if you go on the Ministry of Finance website, you will see important documents, even documents on contract. You will see those documents on the Ministry of Finance website. So proactive disclosure is what the manifesto is saying, that the Access to Information Commission should be empowered to go about its work and go even before we ask. We know that if I want to know that a certain government, look at for instance the SUVs in the early days of this government. That should have been that contract should have been on the website of the Ministry of Transport and Aviation. So we will not
be a public document.
It should be a public document, but it was captured. It was only captured by an audit report. So that's what brings the hue and cry. So there should be proactive disclosure. And I think even for State House, there should be proactive disclosure. When you go to this, what the manifesto is saying, because for us media practitioners, if we want information, we will not labor too much on the access to it. We have our own ways. We cut corners to get information. So it's about the public, those who are doing research. They want information for their. So if I want to know the amount of contract government gave last year, I should be able to see it in government, like for example, the Ministry of Information and Communication should be able to. I should be able to. It's between Sierra Leone and Guinea. I should be able to see those documents. Manifesto is talking about the empowerment of the Right to Access Information Commission and for government institutions.
Yeah, so there are public information that has to be out there.
Yes.
Contracts, award of contracts, the processes, procurement, and those things. Those are things that should be on your website, on your Facebook page, and social media. We don't have to ask you for them, for those at all. For those who call you and try to, but we don't want to waste time to spend 14 days to get information. It should be out there.
Yes.
But I think we are coming from the backdrop of official secrecy. We have been this kind of society where people withhold information. They don't want to give you. They withhold that. And when you withhold information, the alternative is that people speculate.
Yes.
And now we have social media, so people will put out all sorts of things.
People speculate, they manufacture their own
you
documents.
begin to put out the information. Then you are preventing people to manipulate the information. So put it out there as long as it's public information. When it comes to sensitive information, that's where you will use your discussion now whether you withhold the information because of so national security or other things. But these are things that should be even payroll should be public documents. Yes. Because public
Example, how much they are paying the president.
Exactly. It should be.
If you Google the salary of the president of America, you see it.
Yes, it's about attitude and mindset and culture. And so we need to develop now. We've passed that law since 2013, and we're still, some ministries are still holding back to that official secrecy procedure. Even when you call them, they will say, "No, I don't have authority to speak. You have to talk to my boss or to the public."
Let's move over to the advanced gender equality and women's empowerment area. You are asking here that government should work with SLAGE to provide free tertiary education for female journalists.
Yes.
How is that going to be possible?
The same way it is happening for the STEM, for the STEM program. Yes, where government is trying to get people to attract them. Because the results come in, and so the one way you can do that is to give them opportunity to further their capacity and build their capacity so that they'll be able to function in the media as professionals. That is one way we thought that government can also replicate in the media, because we need training, we need scholarships to improve our capacity as professionals, and we need continuous training. And so that is one way we can entice women to come into the profession.
Again, I want to add, this is more about SLAGE asking governments or to promote women's empowerment or support women journalists. It's asking the government to give scholarships to women, which is perhaps personal development. If individuals are in the media and they want to...
There's the same personal development you can give to women in STEM. Exactly.
So that cuts across. That cuts across.
We don't have the resources to do that. We don't have the resources to do that. So we rely on governments and international partners and those who are
asking government for tax waivers, asking the government for continued.
We are part of the society.
I'm asking, as part of the manifesto, why couldn't the media say this is what we are doing?
Yes, we have responsibility as well. Listen, manifesto.
That is why the media is not. The manifesto is not saying government alone. It says SLAGE in collaboration.
Because we need
government.
You can't do it alone.
So it's not.
It's a partnership.
Yes,
it's a partnership.
So what the government is doing for women pursuing sciences, agriculture, and mathematics.
They can do the same for
we are also saying that because if you look at the gender policy, is also speaking to our own responsibility as SLAGE to promote middle and top management levels for women in the media. For example, if you look at the print media, we have only 2 women. One is proprietor and the one is editor. So SLAGE should be able to. The policy is saying that SLAGE should be able to promote some of these things. They don't begin to tell women that.
And the School of Journalism is training a lot of women.
Well, maybe they are not.
But is it because the media is not that attractive?
Maybe they are not coming in. What we are saying, we are coming back to the same thing
you can still have the scholarship, and women can go into.
About that again.
Let us just say that as long as they come into the fold, they went through the media. So you're always the media person.
As you already said, I was not attracted to mainstream journalism. I wanted to be PR. I was trained as a mass communicator. But I decided to go in. I started there as mainstream journalist, and I decided to continue. But we are also going back to the sustainability and viability. That is the reason we have to make the media sustainable and viable. But I will tell you that we have brilliant female. The policy is also talking about giving female reporters hard news in the newsroom. Here is not only in Sierra Leone, globally, women are given soft they are asked to do soft news instead of hard news. So we are trying media, team, women empowerment, not gender empowerment. So this we have to be specific.
Yes, it's both,
women empowerment.
It's both.
Empowerment. And we should collaborate with government. If government is now considering women in STEM, we're asking journalists to government to consider that women journalists, female journalists. And the reason why we are saying female journalists is not for Mr. Dixon, whose child has just whose daughter has just sat to us, and I'm going to present. So that is why we are saying SLAD should collaborate.
And that's collaboration.
And if you look at the provisions there, the things that we ask for, they are not different from what is in the National Plan of Action of the government and also the Jury Act. These are informed by all of those things. And they were asking also the media to also develop a gender policy that can, a gender audit and a gender policy that can inform all of these interventions that we're talking about. So it's basically nothing new, but there are things that we want them to happen also in the media. As long as they're happening in other sectors, let them also happen in the media sector. Yeah.
Dixon, you know, we're speaking a lot of grammar. That's why I'm calling you diction this morning. So you're asked, well, SLAD together with the government of Sierra Leone is asking for free scholarship. However, at the end of that free scholarship, how balanced would you expect some of these female journalists when they get into paid 4 years?
I was giving SLG.
What is what you're saying? You're asking for scholarship.
Yes. If government gives you confidence, because be holding to the government.
No, but she's asking, how do we ensure journalists understand that it doesn't mean if you've been supported?
We have examples of people who are giving scholarship.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was giving SLG.
It's a responsibility of
in
the
my
government.
at the university. I was giving SLG. But that did not stop me to question government.
Yeah, exactly.
So it has to do with the individual.
Government is not doing.
If government is giving people pursuing law,
responsibility.
People pursue their law, they end up become politicians of the opposition parties.
Yeah.
It is their right. So it's not favor that the government is doing. We're asking the government to just, in terms of the STEM, they should just include female journalists, practicing journalists who want to empower themselves.
Okay, let's move further a bit. In improving these female journalists and criteria, standards of education, the syllabus, how have you been working, or SLAD particularly been working with the mass communication department, which you are proud of today?
Yeah, I know that, for example, in the curriculum review, SLAD was very pivotal. And SLAD helped the mass communication media curriculum in Sierra Leone. So that, and SLAD has been helping a lot in terms of internship, in terms of journalists wanting to do internship. They will provide, do some calls for media houses to accept. They've been playing pivotal role. But as a nation, we have to talking about 30% quota. We also have to look about 30% quota in the journalism sector. And how can you get 30% quota in journalism sector? Is to capacitate women already there. Get those without certificate, ensure that they get certificates. SLAD has put pressure on the Department of Mass Communication to institute certificate courses for professional media practitioners, and that is to reinstitute. Because if you don't have you to get your diploma up to the PhD levels, so that we are proud of Dr. James with PhD in media studies. There are other female out there that we are journalists, and they now have PhD in journalism. So we are encouraging more women to come on board. Perhaps they have the innovative ideas to change what we are seeing now.
Especially the viability and sustainability.
Yes.
They can do better.
We have a strong partnership with the mass communication. They train the professionals, and so we have a long history of collaborating with SLAD because they are university consulting them. Even in this manifesto, they also play their part. BU also play their part, and so because of the every day, they are the academics, and they also these are our colleagues as well. They are SLAD members. Almost all of them are SLAD members, and so there is that cooperation, there is that partnership that we always.
Okay,
form.
gentlemen, we'll come back to you shortly. Let's go to New York quickly, where we already have Mohamed Masakoy, the press attaché at the Salone mission to the United Nations, to talk about the elections today for the Security Council seats, of which Salone will be contesting for. Good morning, Mohamed, and welcome to Wake Up Salone.
Good morning, Amadou. Good morning, my people. I'm really pleased that my guys are in the studio. There, the president of SLAG and my colleague and friend, Mr. Dixon. So I'm very happy to hear from them. Thank you.
Very much welcome. Salone will be participating in the elections today. Will you take us through how the process will be and what does this mean for the country?
Yes, thank you very much once more. Today, you're right, Salone shall be going into an election at for the non-permanent category of Security Council. And so the procedure will be this morning, 10 o'clock New York time, will be at the General Assembly, where we'll announce the procedure as to how the elections are going to be conducted. And then Africa will be the first set of regions that will be doing their elections. Because if you look at it, Africa shall be representing two candidates, and the sole candidate is Sierra Leone, for example. They endorse, the UN endorsed country, and it's running on a clean slate, and also you have Algeria. So we are replacing Ghana and Gabon, respectively, from the African bloc. And so that is what is going to happen this morning, and we will, what's happening here, will be all over the media houses so that people will know exactly what we have done as a country. Remember, for the past 50 years, since 1970 to 1971, we were on the council. And so we left the council, and for 50 years we've not been there. The retired, the Julius, the Madabio, we will be going into the council again. So this is a very golden information. It's very, very remarkable for the people of Saragon. I will even say that if I have my way to talk to the Minister of Local Government, who can lift ban on the masquerade so that they can dance today in Freetown. This is very, very remarkable, Lamrana.
Okay, you know, we are we going to be voted for, or we already secured the seats for as representative from Africa with Algeria, or will be voted for?
Well, you can't go to the council without people casting votes for you. So indeed, yes, there will be an election, and we're expecting the 109 something, 92 or so member states to cast their votes for Sierra Leone. And believe you me, we are assured of gaining a very momentum, a very outstanding votes from member states. And believe you me, let me tell you one thing, that you know, we are going through this all because before even we could contest for this position, Nigeria had wanted to contest for this permanent, non-permanent seats for Africa. But of course, because of the interaction of His Excellency, because of the diplomatic relations the president has created for over the years, he was able to persuade Nigeria, and Nigeria could step down for Sierra Leone. So indeed, Sierra Leone is the only candidate for the West Africa region. And also you have Algeria as well, because the point is that you can have one Anglophone and another a Francophone country representing Africa on the council. So the African group, we have 2 seats, and Sierra Leone is on the clean slate. Definitely we will win, and they are going to cast votes for us. And it's not only by voting us. We are going to have a very mammoth vote this morning here in New York.
Okay. Yes, Zula.
Yes. Good morning again. So, what's the time frame of this term for the Security Council seat?
All right, so it's going to be 2024, 2025. So it's going to be one year. But of course, Sierra Leone shall be on the council. The moment we do the elections today, we shall be sitting. We will be observing the process, and then we've gone through trainings. We've gone through a lot of activities to see that we understudy those who are on the council now for better understanding as to how we can be effective when we are in the council. So by January 1st, we shall be there. Elections to this we are doing because the government of Sierra Leone has been able to put the country on the trajectory of development. The government has been able to change the dynamics of how we've been doing things and how things are now happening. So under the leadership of the president, definitely we are going to the Security Council, and I'm really, really happy that we are going there, and Sierra Leoneans must understand that we will get a lot of opportunities out of this. We'll have a lot of engagement out of this, and Sierra Leone will shine once again under the leadership of His Excellency the President.
Okay, before Lamana comes in, it's taken 50 years for this to come to light. What's new will you take to the Security Council? What's new?
There are a lot of things we will take to Security Council. Remember, Sierra Leone has gone through war, and we've got peace. So we will let people know as to trajectory, as to how far we have come, what are the mechanisms put in place to maintain peace after war. Remember, the decade civil conflict in Sierra Leone created a whole lot of problems for our people. Houses were destroyed, people were killed, a lot of damages were done. We were able to maintain that, and immediately after elections, we conducted a democratic system of government where power, a sitting government, has to hand over power to together definitely the peace building process. Remember that we had a lot of United Nations peacekeepers in Sierra Leone. We are now participating in peacekeeping process. So these are all put together, we will take to the council. But of course, again, you look at the partnership, multilateralism, and also the global peace and security thing we are pushing for. Another aspect we will be looking at has to do with maintaining human rights and transparency and accountability on the council. So we will ensure that every aspect of human rights is being given to those countries that deserve it and to our people. Again, this global issue of youths and women, remember His Excellency, the President is somebody that has passion for women. Remember the 30% thing we are talking about. So all the good things we put together for women will be replicated, will be presented to, the Security Council when we are there. So these are, a blend of things we'll be doing, and definitely it will make Sierra Leone grow bigger and bigger, and it will make the country shine. It will open up for opportunities. It will international connections, and definitely we are poised for this. Everybody is geared up this morning, and the mission, the permanent representative, Ambassador Fande Toure, his deputy, Ambassador Imran Kanu, and also you have the deputy for political affairs, Ambassador Amara Sowa. We are all getting ready for this process. And of course, the Foreign Affairs Minister, Professor David Francis, is in. So we are very comfortable. We are very fine. Okay. But we are not going to sit back. We will ensure that we push for the more than, we want to have more than 150 to 70 or 80 votes for Sierra Leone.
Okay, Mohamed, we wish you the very best, and AYV will be broadcasting live the election process, and we'll be speaking to the minister and other members of the team over there. But thanks for joining us this morning, and we'll be speaking to you later on in the day. We wish you all the best on behalf of management and staff.
Please, before I go,
on behalf of Sierra Leoneans, we looking forward to getting that seat at the UN Security Council. Thanks very much for joining us.
All right, thank you very much, Amadou. God bless.
He's the press attaché at the Salone mission at the United Nations, and we're going for the UN seats today. Statements.
Yes,
even
we support the
supporting
government.
The government.
Yes, and we hope that the national program, and I think we all should be proud of Salonians that we are even bidding for it.
Yeah.
That will, if we get that, then it takes us to a higher place in the international community.
It's progress. At least we're sitting somewhere where we'll be. Yeah. Manifesto is welfare. When we started, you mentioned that the media, 80 or 90% of media owners are journalists,
and they're very reporters as well.
Exactly, and you have a situation where some of them either don't pay their reporters or pay them below the minimum wage, and this is a very serious issue that has been going on for a very long time now. It's the media itself not addressing,
their own issues,
especially with welfare.
Yes, but I think there has been some improvement with the passing of the IMC Act in 2020, which now obligates every media employer to pay above the minimum wage. And I think minimum wage has also gone up from 600 to 800, I think so. Yes, and so you're obligated, because once you go to renew your license every year, the IMC is obliged to also look at your documents to see that they are correct and they are proper, they are authentic, that you are paying them, your staff, and you're also paying their social contributions. And once you don't do that, then they have the power to refuse you.
Nasit some time ago wanted to came and
that was very ignorant of us. We didn't know what the implications were, especially on you, the reporter, because that's your unearned benefit that you should have, even if it's 10 years or 15 years. The media houses have the obligation to pay those backlogs. And so once we some worked for them and those benefits.
Dixon is silent on this.
Well,
he's an employer.
I'm an employer, and I'm also employed in media. And I know it's a very serious issue.
Definitely.
Compliance issue, we've just started now. It's very low. And I will tell you, compliance issue is very low. And in fact, media institutions are now bringing in strategy not to employ permanent staff.
Volunteer.
Now they look for either volunteers, contract staff, or freelancers. That's what they look for now, because it also boils down to the fact that they are not getting enough money. Not that they don't want to pay. I want to pay the people working for me, to support them in their educational pursuit. But if you don't have the money, you have to pay rent. Where you look at also the inflationary pressure on us, the media, where you used to pay $2,000, $3,000, 20-something million or 30 million few years back. Now you are paying 60 million. So you have to look at all of these things, these pressures on the pressure on the media. But I think it is good for us to pay NASIT. And nobody paid NASIT for me.
Can you imagine?
So I think it is good. It's good for
I've never paid any benefit for me. I'm paying for myself now.
It's good for us to pay NASIT. And I think the strategy SLAGM and NASIT are using, I think, is very good. Making a payment plan so that media houses can pay. And I think in some cases, NASIT will say, okay, we know that we know your capacity. We cannot go back to 5 years. The reporters are the victims. So we used to be reporters. All of us are victims. Because we are there. That is the reason why we do not have journalists owning media houses. Because we cannot demand, you reporters, that you cannot demand something. You want pay rise. I remember I want pay rise in my newspaper, but I cannot demand it. What goose is going through to maintain the newspaper and so on and so forth. So I think the strategy of NASIT, I think, is very good, and even the current commissioner has been organizing media
events every year.
Engagement for journalists.
So what is the media itself doing to address this issue? Because this is about the media itself. It's the media. It's media owners.
We are Alliance. We know it just started about 1 year ago, but we are urging them to go beyond just the submission of documents, to go and find out and authenticate this document as well. And we also, if you look at the manifesto, we also said that we want to work with you, SLRU, and work with the Ministry of Labor and the Labor Congress to see how we can achieve that, your bargaining certificate, so that there is something as a union like you have that will guarantee that you have these basic conditions of service that will protect your welfare as reporters. That is one recommendation in the manifesto that we're going to pursue, and we're going to rely on you as well to ensure that we work with it. So you cannot do these things without working with the established institutions.
I think even for bigger media houses, they are now they are not employing. They are not employing new staff. What even the old staff, they decided to get them on contract.
And now you pay by story.
Yes,
submit the story that they pay.
Even for bigger newspaper now, you pay for story. They pay you by story.
It's difficult because the media always are not making money, and you cannot pay what you don't have. So we understand these challenges, and so that's why we don't push too much. But we know the conditions, the economic conditions of under which these media houses are operating, and so we have to be.
Let's see if we could take some messages, right? And then we'll come to the final part of the manifesto, which is capacity and professionalism. But this one is from Edwina John. She says, "Just manifesto prior to you becoming the president of SLAJ, and this manifesto of the media."
Please continue.
Yes, another one says, "What Ronald Beresford, what the leadership of newspapers in Sierra Leone? Can the panelists please tell us?" The leadership, yes, of newspapers in Sierra Leone. Michael Joseph Kanu says, "Very interesting conversation this morning. The media landscape really needs support and people to invest in the media." Ronald Beresford again, "Journalism in Sierra Leone needs to be structured and meet international standards. The social media, whether a force for good or not, has been able to break even when it comes to exposing information that mainstream media refuse to highlight." Michael Joseph Kanu again, "Sierra Leoneans can even invest in the selling on some of these production materials newspapers are using, because all the people who are doing that business are foreigners." Gino Schwartz says, "The main problem of our generation is that people don't select professions with love. Rather, they select it based on the financial returns they make. For example, a parent will tell the child to be a doctor because they'll get rich after becoming one, rather than supporting a child to do what the journalists are not rich, right, Dixie?"
We are comfortable.
Alusan Kamara says, "Imagine someone closing the ban after the house has bolted. How does SLAJ expect political parties to infuse their views? It shows how." Okay. Momo Vandy says, okay, someone is asking that Dixon should not leave the media for now. He should continue to stay. Joby Bangali Jr. says, "Dixon and Monk, una not forget say social media." This is very important. Joby Bangali says, "Dixon and Monk, una not forget say social media don't bog on a profession. Now you get people who go to college just to study digital marketing, social media inclusive." I think those are the messages we could take for now and get your reaction, Mr. President.
Yes. Somebody asked about the difference between. Okay, thank you all for the messages, and the difference between my manifesto as president and the manifesto that we are putting out. Yes, that one was my own manifesto. There are two manifestos: the SALT manifesto and then the second one, Mill manifesto. Basically concentrating the previous one and this one, and most of the issues that I promised in my manifesto, I have almost achieved all of them. And most of them are also here as well in this one, because it's also informed this one. This one now is the media, the collective media, not my own executive administration. So that's the difference. But the issues we are talking about, because in my manifesto we talked about gender, it's here, and we're working on it. We talked about safety and security, it's there, we're working on it as well. We're talking about capacity building for journalists, it's here. We're talking about strengthening SLAJ as an institution. In terms of the systems and processes, it's not here, but that one is something that we are still pursuing. And so it's basically not too different from my own, but this one now is owned by the media, by journalists themselves, and not necessarily just my administration. And then somebody talked about social media. Yes, social media. we are happy that social media is around. It's a platform. It's an extension of the media. It also increases the space of the work that we do. And we are also in that space, not necessarily assigned to any special people. We are also citizens. We have access to the phone. We have access to the platform. And so we can also do what other people are doing. And so we only encourage people to use it professionally and responsibly, so that you don't use your platform or use your skills or your piece to peddle misinformation, fake news, and hate speech. And so we've also challenged journalists to become bloggers as well, because you're professional. People who we claim to be being threatened by the bloggers, no, this is a space. It's a space for everyone. Go there and blog and do it professionally, and then that's how you put them out of business. But if we are just staying in traditional media and leaving out the space to other people to talk about,
they're taking advertising too.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
they're competing.
Be a blogger. Get to the blog, do your blog, and definitely you will attract the same things that they are also attracting. But then you will be a professional. You will have credibility and you will have trust. So that's the difference. And somebody talked about the production materials for the print media. That is something we have been discussing. The Guild is also discussing that. Yes, something that we've made approaches. But like we said, the media, we don't take our own things very seriously. This is a campaign that we should engage the NACIT to invest in. It is something we want to control. We want to control the supply and the price of this raw material, so that we make it available to our members on a cost-to-cost basis. We are not a profit-making institution organization, so we want to do this to ensure that the media is sustainable, is viable, and they have access to these materials that they need to produce the news and information for the public to consume. So these are things that should be discussed, and I hope that we will succeed. But we need partnership and we need intervention from people who have the resources and the capacity to help us do this and ensure that we control the supply and the price of our commodities that we use as raw materials. Even for community radio stations, the equipment that they use. These are things that we want to ensure that we invest in and we control that aspect of our media.
Yeah. Someone made mention of quality in production.
Yeah, the quality in production depends on the production materials that you're having
and printing presses,
the capacity of the people working in the media outlet. Somebody talked about digital marketing. And this is where I want to urge journalists to upgrade their skills, even for us who read mass communication. We are now trying to do courses, short courses in digital marketing, short courses in website management, and so on and so forth. These are courses that you should, because now we are seeing what we call e-newspapers. Newspapers on the internet, newspapers that you don't sell, you see them on the internet. A case in point is Awoko. Awoko has an app on both Apple and Google that you can access their newspaper and you can pay little amount of money. So I think that is also relevant. And about the space, I've seen journalists. Lamranaba is thriving as a blogger. Myself, I'm thriving as
it doesn't get advertisement.
Well, I have gotten. I've not been giving advertisement. I have gotten some form of consultancy.
Will you see?
I should circulate messages of some institution on Twitter and Facebook, and I get some amount of money. So I think we can also get aside. You can also develop our own blogging system. Even now, we are seeing radio stations using the media convergence technique. Even Star TV, as we are talking now, it's on Facebook. So we are moving towards that. Just that, as journalists, we need to upgrade our skills to meet the modern trend. Today, we are talking about media entrepreneurship. And talking about media entrepreneurship, you have to talk about digital media also. And somebody asked me if I'm not leaving the media. For now, I'm in the media for now. When that time comes,
you'll announce. So let's crowd the place. Let's crowd the place. That's what we need. There's many platforms. Don't just go there and just post and move out. Engage. There is TikTok also. There is Instagram. So ensure that
there is one of our colleagues doing TikTok that. Very good.
Exactly. We can
Suleiman Storm. 3 minutes, 60 seconds on TikTok. We use short news and
occupy all the platforms. All the platforms.
So we can get these people causing mayhem in our society out of business.
That's how you put them out of business, but not to compete.
Let's wrap up this conversation on professionalism. Which is very important in all of this. The public the trust. We need to get the trust of members of the public to understand that in addressing this, in capacitating journalists as well.
Yeah, well, the manifesto put it as a concern in terms of professionalism and ethics. Is still a concern, despite several trainings. For the past decades, we've been training journalists but like we said, training is continuous. It's continuous development, and so that has to be part of the process, because you have journalists who are coming into the profession every year, and so they also need training, and so it's a continuous process. So we're asking for scholarships, one for training opportunities for journalists so that they continue to develop their capacity. We also asking, Dixon mentioned about the curriculum that we have in the mass communication department, so that we implement that one. We work with the mass comm department and the ACJFE, the academic communicators who have been put together to train journalists to ensure that we implement from certificate level to degree level, so that even if you don't have the requirements of WAS, you can access a certificate program and get to the level where you go to diploma and the sort of things. So we are doing all of this in conjunction with the various established institutions. And so we talked about digital transformation. That is something that we need to embrace. Journalists have to have digital literacy, and the media institutions have to transform and ensure that they are integrated in the digital space. They are present there, not just to have the space, but to engage the audience and make sure that you like, for example, the cotton tree that fell the other day, and people are grumbling that the news came from citizen journalists who are there. We can also go there and get a snapshot and put out a story and spread it along all the social media platforms, and then you do in-depth stories later. That's how we operate the space, and so we need to take advantage of all of this. It's all mentioned in there, and then we also, yes, those are the issues that we talked about in terms of professional and capacity building, and we continue to engage journalists to ensure that they abide by the code of ethics, the IMC code of practice, and all the regulations governing the profession. Once you do that, then you become professional and you're able to earn the trust and confidence of the public.
So on your question is on twofold: media professionalism and how we should ensure that the public understand that journalists are doing their work.
Yeah.
And the president has elaborated more on the capacity building, which I think is important. We need capacity. The digital marketing media we are talking about, we need to capacitate journalists, huge amount of training in that. And talking about your question now, we are talking about media literacy for the public. The public needs to understand that the journalist is there doing his work. You should not attack him or her for doing his work. And even if you think that the man is biased, don't attack him. He's giving his view. Like, for instance, I've been attacked several times. Some people said I'm APC, others said I'm SLPP, and some people will even meet me in the public and attack me that you've not been talking. You've not been talking, and they expect some of us to be talking in politics time. So I will tell them, no, I'm not a politician. This is the time for the politician to speak. So their manifestos are not me. So we need to embark on lots of media literacy, even for somebody who is out there. Because it's because of media illiteracy. Because some of the things some people are talking about, they themselves don't understand it. And they are telling you to cause mayhem. So if we have a MC in collaboration, have a project on media literacy, talking to people that look, don't attack people, and also you have to verify every information you see online, because now we are in the age of infodemic. We are in people are using information to manipulate. So we have to be very careful. This is why media literacy is of essence. Over and above, I want to say that as journalists, we should make effort to capacitate ourselves. We should not wait on government or IMC. We should make effort to capacitate ourselves, especially on new media, so that we'll be comfortable when using, for example, TikTok. You'll be comfortable when using Twitter. You'll be comfortable when using Facebook. So this is where I want to end my presentation.
And so media literacy is basically getting the public to understand how we do our job as journalists, how we produce news, and how they are going to consume that news as well, and to give them the basic skills in terms of using this platform that they have, how to cross-check information, how we have to go to verify information, and what not to share and what to share. So once we do that, then definitely we're getting the public along. It's a continuous process. So once we get that, then that's one recommended intervention to combat misinformation and disinformation and ensure that we have increased access to credible information.
We see Sludge is doing a lot for the elections,
so many
verifying
things.
information
training,
and all of that. But what is expected, finally, what will you say that is expected of journalists, the media at this time? We are 19 days to the election.
We want the people are looking up to us for credible information. Let's provide it for them. Let's take the side of the public, because that's the interest that we should protect. As journalists, even if you are supporting a political party, make sure that you do so professionally. You can promote the ideas and ideologies and without any facts or figures. That's what we want to do. Let's increase the space for them, for people to have access to credible information that will make them make informed decisions about the elections.
For me, I will always tell people that neutrality is something that does not is achievable. You should be impartial. We are all voters. Yeah. We are all going to vote for a political party, political candidate. But we should be impartial. That is where the professionalism kicks in. Impartial in doing your work. You can support your party. We know newspapers are supporting various candidates. You can support that with the right balance. Have the good ethics. Don't incite violence. Don't incite tribal regional conflict. Don't allow the politician to use you to do bad things. And ensure that at all time as the president.
Condolence will be open today for Mrs.
Cole,
Bernadette Cole.
The mother of journalism. We call her the mother of journalism.
Yeah, I know. She contributed to this generation. All of
us. She taught me public relations and advertising, international humanitarian law at the International Humanitarian Law debate.
Wow, wonderful.
Yes, and we were there. We were presented. We went to the final with the law department. Unfortunately, we did not win. And then. For me personally, he wanted me out of the media to serve as a PR. He got me an employment at an insurance brokerage, Crestmet insurance brokerage. But after 3 months. I look at myself as not fit for me.
That time she went to the provinces and trained journalists on her own across the regions so that they have basic trainings on news gathering, right there, reporting. The first chairperson for the IMZ, and then she also reported for West Africa magazine, was a very popular magazine at that time. And she has written many books on democracy and the media and the history program at the Florida College.
We'll celebrate her life.
Yes, we celebrate it. We're not mourning. We celebrate because she lived a very full life, academic-wise, and also in terms of media.
And she lived a fulfilled
life. Yes. She achieved almost everything that she wanted.
May her soul rest in peace. And as part of our own contribution and recognition of our work to the media, this morning it has been a very educative and interesting conversation. Hopefully, Thomas Dixon is still with us.
Now to analysis now.
Okay, let's get McLean for some sport news. Good morning, and sport.
Good morning. Leon star John Kisa has yesterday named 39 players as part of his professional squad ahead of Leon Star's crucial Group A 2020. 2023 AFCON qualifiers for match the 5 against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Leon Stars head coach John Keister, vice and the composition of.
We have challenges, but for us, we're very, very optimistic going into this match. Again, I've been into one of these scenarios before where we came across Nigeria. I was part of that team. You know, we never had a chance. In going through, we're going to go there and represent you, and I've always said that.
To be forwarded to the Ministry of Finance for their own vetting and their own technical inputs. I receive a budget generated by from the SLFA, and we've processed it already. It's with the Ministry of Finance. I also received a second budget. That was a mini one, you know, regarding the friendly match.
Before the next story, the last speaker, there was the giving us available. But on the list, that we mention a few names. Yeah, people have been asking of local-based players. One of them is Ali Conte, known as Nzonzi, who scored 21 goals. According to the technical team, they said the player has some documentation issue, but they will look towards that. For foreign-based player, Bundu, that has been part of the squad, and Buya, who've signed for a Danish club, you know, well, still fighting to get his place in the national team. So look forward for Sierra Leone, a crucial match against the Super Eagles of Nigeria on that. You know, well, because of time, that's all we have for sports. And we'll continue to look on that, you know, speak to journalists, get Vox Pop, you know, from fans what they're expecting of a Sierra Leone match against, you know, Super Eagles, because if Sierra Leone win, it will be definitely a good boost for the team to qualify to Ivory Coast 2024. So that's all for sports, and back to you, Zulatu Hamid and Amadou Lamanaba in the main studio.
Many thanks, Gansford, for the sports updates. Well, this is where we end today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. Remind you, for today says, freedom of the press is not important to democracy. It is democracy. A liberty depends on the freedom of the press, and that cannot be limited without being lost. Whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech. And it comes from Thomas Jefferson, an American statesman, diplomat, lawyer, architect, and philosopher.
Many thanks to our sponsor, Care Commercial Bank, for their support to the program. Thanks to our guests who've joined us this morning, and to you, our viewers and listeners, for staying with us these 2 hours. A Wake Up, stay with us.
And I am Zulatu Hamid. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Salone. Now we all come together as one. For tomorrow, now we go make Salone.